You're using AI to help you write.
But what if it's quietly making you worse?
It sounds good. Clean. Structured.
But it's also predictable, safe, and forgettable.
Because AI doesn't understand writing.
It predicts what comes next.
No instinct. No lived experience.
Just patterns built on what already exists.
But the more you rely on it.
And more your voice starts to disappear.
In this episode.
Why letting AI teach you how to write is the fastest way to become average.
Every single time you hand your first draft over to an AI, you're not just saving time. You are actively giving away the exact practice that makes you a better writer.
Right.
And the terrifying part is, you probably won't even notice until it's way too late. I mean, you hand over the blank page, you get back a finished product, and you think, I won.
Exactly, yeah. But you've actually surrendered the core mechanism of authorship right there, because we've kind of fundamentally misunderstood what these systems are doing beneath the surface.
Right. So what is the raw reality of it?
Well, when you look at it, an AI doesn't understand writing at all, like zero comprehension. It's just processing mathematical tokens.
Tokens, so like tiny puzzle pieces of words.
Yeah, exactly, or syllables. And the system doesn't know what the final picture on the puzzle is supposed to look like. It has no concept of, say, a beautiful landscape or a portrait.
It's just blind matching.
Right. It just mathematically knows that the specific curve shape usually connects to this straight edge. It has no intention, no point of view that it feels compelled to defend.
And obviously, no lived experience.
None. I mean, an AI has never felt urgency. It hasn't experienced grief or wonder or, that crippling weight of professional doubt before hitting send on a big email.
Wait, hold on, though. If it is literally just predicting the next puzzle piece based on math, how does it manage to write a cohesive, like 5-paragraph marketing brief or an essay that actually makes a logical argument?
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. It feels like it's doing so much more than just a glorified autocomplete. It feels like it's actually thinking.
Well, that is the grand illusion of large language models. It mimics coherence so well that it tricks our brains into seeing comprehension where there is none.
Wow.
Because these systems have ingested billions of pages of human text, they've mapped the statistical relationships of logic. They know the shape of a persuasive argument.
Wow.
They know that the word therefore usually follows a setup of because, but it is still just predicting the next most statistically likely word based on patterns. That's the entire mechanism.
Nothing more than that.
Nothing more. It is engineered from the ground up to produce one thing above all else, and that's predictability.
Okay, so it wants to generate outputs that feel familiar.
Right. Familiar, safe, and broadly acceptable to the widest possible range of readers. It's not optimized for originality because it can only recombine what already exists. It can't invent a genuinely new idea. It's not optimized for emotion either because it's merely mimicking an emotional register without ever having felt a single thing. And it definitely cannot know which specific sentence will make a human being stop, catch their breath, and reread.
Which brings me to this. Think about your own inbox right now, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that strange sense of emptiness when reading a perfectly formatted, highly professional corporate email?
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
You read 4 paragraphs, you understand the words, but you feel absolutely nothing. It's just hollow. So drop a comment below if you've noticed this creeping into your own workplace lately. It's honestly like reading a ghost.
That's a great way to put it.
If I think about it, the best way to describe the AI we're using to write is that it's essentially a hyper-advanced smartphone autocomplete. Like when I type, "I am looking" on my phone, it instantly suggests forward to hearing from you.
Exactly.
It's not generating an original thought, and it's certainly not trying to make an emotional impact on the person I'm texting. It's simply combining what already exists to produce something familiar and completely frictionless.
And that frictionless quality is exactly why AI-generated prose is so intensely seductive.
Seductive how?
Well, when it outputs a draft, that draft reads as clear. It reads as well-structured. It's almost always grammatically perfect.
Right, which are all the surface signals we've been taught since grade school to associate with good writing.
Exactly. It looks correct on the page, so we automatically assume it is good.
Okay, let's unpack this because I want to push back a little here.
Yeah.
Isn't clear, grammatically correct writing exactly what most of us are trying to achieve?
Sure.
Like, whether you're writing a newsletter, a project proposal, a blog post, why isn't surface correctness enough? Shouldn't we be celebrating a tool that instantly cleans up our grammar and makes us sound more professional?
It's a totally valid question, but here is where we have to separate the surface from the substance.
Yeah.
Passing at a glance is not the same as writing that actually matters.
So
A sentence can be grammatically flawless, properly punctuated, and yet entirely emotionally inert. That is what AI reliably produces.
it just leaves nothing behind in the mind of the reader.
Right, because that obsession with surface correctness strips away the four vital elements that actually make writing alive.
Let's walk through those, because if we are losing the very things that make writing work, we need to know exactly what they look like.
Okay, the first missing element is tension.
Tension.
Yeah, tension is that palpable feeling that something is at stake in the text. It's the sensation that the next sentence could go either way, that the argument might take a sudden turn.
And human writers build tension by holding information back, right?
Yes. AI, however, writes in a straight, predictable line. It usually gives away the entire premise in the first sentence because that's structurally the safest way to organize information.
Which kills the tension entirely. And if there is no tension, the reader has no reason to keep going. They just skim.
Exactly. And that leads directly to the second missing element, which is surprise. Surprise is the unexpected turn of phrase, or the metaphor that physically stops a reader from skimming and forces them to pay attention.
But AI can't surprise you, because its entire underlying architecture is built to provide the most statistically expected word.
Right. It's literally mathematically opposed to surprise.
Because by definition, if a word is surprising, it wasn't the most probable next token.
The math hates surprises. And because it hates surprises, it also destroys the third element, rhythm.
How does it ruin rhythm?
Well, human writers deliberately break grammatical patterns to create emphasis. They'll write a long, flowing, complex sentence that builds and builds, layering detail upon detail until you feel entirely swept up in the momentum of the paragraph.
Yeah.
And then they stop. Short sentence. Like that. It hits you like a drum beat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but AI tends to normalize sentence length.
Right, creating a monotonous droning cadence that just lulls the brain to sleep.
It's that recognizable drone. You can almost hear the robotic monotone in your head when you read it. So what's the final element?
The fourth, and arguably the most crucial missing element, is lived experience. This is the unpolished, hyper-specific detail that only someone who is actually standing in that room could provide.
Right.
An AI might write, "The old house was scary and dilapidated." But a human writes, "The floorboards in the hallway breathed a heavy sigh every time you stepped on the third stair, and the whole place smelled like damp newspaper."
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
AI cannot draw from a life lived, so it replaces lived experience with broad, generic cliches.
Precisely.
So if you combine all these missing elements, the lack of tension, the mathematical opposition to surprise, the droning rhythm, and the total absence of lived experience,
Yes.
you end up caught in this trap of the average.
Yes.
It's a slow drift. It's not that you use AI once and suddenly your writing is complete garbage. The danger isn't a single bad piece of writing. The danger is that you don't notice the drift.
The slow drift is the invisible threat. The more you rely on AI to generate your first drafts, the more your unique voice converges toward the absolute mathematical average of whatever massive data set the AI was trained on.
All your interesting edges just get sanded down.
Your personal quirks, your weird vocabulary choices, your unique pacing, all of it gets bypassed. And over time, the writing stops being yours.
Right.
It becomes safe, meaning no real risks are taken. It becomes generic, reading exactly like every other piece of content. And ultimately, it becomes forgettable. There is absolutely nothing for the reader to hold on to.
Think about using GPS navigation in your car. If you always use the map application on your phone to get around your own city, you eventually lose your own internal sense of direction.
Oh, totally.
You stop looking at landmarks, you stop understanding how the streets actually connect to one another, and without the screen illuminating the path, you are completely lost in your own neighborhood. So does relying on AI do the exact same thing to your internal writing compass? I really want to hear from you on this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Are we outsourcing our internal navigation?
That GPS analogy perfectly illustrates what happens to your underlying skill over time. I mean, writing craft isn't just a set of grammatical rules you memorize. It is a muscle built through struggle.
Right.
It's built through the deep frustration of searching for the exact right word, rewriting a single paragraph 6 times because it just doesn't sound right to your ear, and learning to trust an instinct that you might not even be able to logically explain yet.
But when you consistently bypass that necessary struggle by letting a machine generate the draft for you, that muscle inevitably atrophies.
You stop doing the searching yourself.
You abandon the search entirely. You just settle for the very first AI suggestion because it's easy, it's frictionless, and it looks superficially correct.
Yeah, you abandon your own voice, effectively letting a software update define your personal style. But the most devastating loss is that you lose your instinct.
You don't just write worse over time.
No, the real danger is that you lose the ability to judge what good writing even is anymore. Your internal calibration for quality gets completely overwritten by the machine's standard of average and acceptable.
So if your internal compass is broken and your writing is mathematically average, what actually happens when you hit send on that draft? Because people are using this at work every day, and the sky hasn't fallen, the emails are still going out.
Well, the message will probably land. That is the long-term cost of this dynamic. People will understand the words you said. The raw information is successfully received.
The corporate email gets a polite reply, the blog post gets a perfunctory click.
Exactly. The transaction is completed,
Right.
but it doesn't move them, and that is the tragedy of the slow drift. No one forwards that email to a friend saying, you have to read this. No one remembers your article by Friday afternoon.
No one fundamentally changes their mind or feels a sudden surge of inspiration because of it.
Because there is a massive cavernous gap between a piece of information being intellectually understood and that same information being deeply felt, that gap is where real writing actually lives.
That gap is where persuasion, empathy, and genuine human connection happen. And AI, by its very nature as a predictive algorithm, cannot close that gap for you.
It just can't.
This is a heavy realization, but before we talk about how to actually fix this and use the tool the right way, I want to take a quick second to speak directly to you. If you're finding this deep dive valuable, and if you want to keep sharpening your edge in a world that is constantly trying to make you average, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube NC Web Dev channel. You do not want to miss all the new stuff we have coming out. We're constantly breaking down the strategies and insights that actually matter.
Now, we really need to transition from the problem to the solution here, because the goal is not to completely banish AI from your workflow. We aren't suggesting you throw your computer in the river.
No, the technology is incredibly powerful.
The key is understanding that AI is a highly effective editing and structuring tool, but it is a disastrous authoring tool. The fatal mistake is asking it to write the first word.
So how do we actually implement that? What is the correct sequence to use the right tool for the job without losing our minds?
There is a very specific, strict 3-step sequence you should follow if you want to leverage AI without losing your voice. Step 1, you write first.
Okay.
You draft the piece in your own voice, using your own ideas. It should be messy, it should be wildly imperfect. It might even be a little embarrassing to look at, but it must be genuinely yours.
And step 2.
Step 2, AI refines. This is where you finally bring the machine into the process. You ask it to tighten up the structure, you ask it to fix awkward phrasing or flag passages that might be logically unclear. You treat it like a junior copy editor.
Got it. And step 3.
Step 3. You decide. You must review every single suggestion that AI makes with a highly critical eye. You keep the edits that serve your voice and clarify your point, and you ruthlessly reject the edits that flatten your personality or sand down your edges.
I can hear people listening to this right now saying, that sounds great in theory, but when it is 4:00 p.m. on a Friday, I'm exhausted and I'm staring at a deadline. It is so incredibly tempting to just click accept all on the AI's suggestions.
Yeah.
How do we practically stop ourselves from falling into that smoothness trap?
Resisting that smoothness trap requires active, intentional defenses. It won't happen by accident. So there are 4 specific strategies you can implement right now.
Okay.
First, always write the ugly draft first. Never even open an AI tool or a chat window before you have your own messy first draft completed. Remember that 100 bad words of your own creation infinitely beat 0 words of your own.
Right, because your bad draft has a soul. The machine's perfect draft does not.
Exactly. Once you see the machine's clean version, it's almost impossible to unsee it and go back to your own messy thoughts.
But what about maintaining the actual physical skill? Like, how do we keep that internal GPS from atrophying?
That is where the second defense comes in. Keeping a friction journal.
A friction journal.
Yeah, the directive here is to write 1 paragraph by hand every single day. Use physical paper and a pen. No digital editing, no backspace, and absolutely no autocomplete predicting your next word.
Just raw friction.
Friction is where the skill actually lives and breathes. The struggle of physically forming the letters and searching your own brain for the next word is what keeps your writing instincts sharp.
That physical resistance makes so much sense. Think about how wild that is for a second. The best, most effective defense we have against multi-billion-dollar hyper-advanced neural networks is a piece of paper and a cheap ballpoint pen.
It really is.
We have to purposefully manufacture struggle just to maintain our humanity in the process. But what about when I am forced to use AI at work? Like, I can't write all my client proposals in pen. How do I protect my voice when I'm actively using the software?
That brings us to the third defense. Read AI output with intense suspicion. Suspicion.
Okay.
Whenever the AI hands you a rewritten paragraph, you must actively pause and ask yourself, is this actually what I mean, or is this just what sounds right?
Can you give an example?
Sure. If you wrote, "we messed up," and the AI changes it to, "we experienced a service interruption," you have to recognize that the AI just stripped away your accountability to make the sentence sound more corporate.
Ah, done.
If you read the text and you genuinely can't tell the difference between your original intent and the AI's smooth phrasing, you are already caught in the trap. You are letting the machine think for you.
And once we spot those moments where the AI has sanitized our thoughts, what's the final step?
The fourth defense is to restore what the AI removes. As we discussed, AI routinely strips out the odd word, the unusually short sentence, the deliberate sentence fragment. It removes the weirdness because weirdness isn't mathematically probable.
Right.
When you are reviewing its edits, you have to actively put your strange choices back in. That weirdness, those perceived imperfections, that is exactly what constitutes your unique human voice.
So if we pull all of this together, what is the core philosophy we need to walk away with today?
The overarching directive is this. Write first. Use AI after.
Write first. Use AI after.
If you let an AI write for you from the blank page, you are not actually writing. You are merely selecting from a menu of mathematical predictions, and in doing so, you're slowly becoming a prediction yourself.
Wow.
Your voice took years of living, reading, and struggling to develop. It is the absolute only thing you possess that the AI cannot replicate. You have to protect it fiercely. You have to use your instincts, because every single draft you write yourself makes that instinct sharper.
Ultimately, you must own your writing, from the very first word to the very last period. It all comes back to that initial choice when staring at the blank screen. Do you take the easy, frictionless path and let the machine predict your thoughts? Or do you do the hard, messy, deeply human work of figuring out what you actually want to say? Because here's a final lingering thought for you to ponder based on everything we've looked at today. AI trains its predictive models entirely on human writing. But if we all surrender our first drafts to AI and we start writing exactly like the machine, what exactly will the machine learn from next? Drop a comment below and let us know your answer to that.